What's up, Sooner Nation, and welcome to another edition of the WhackoPreview Podcast, where we go over all things OU football heading into the weekend and matchups ahead. I'm Steve Curtis, the voice behind Wacko Sooners, and today, as always, every Friday, we're going to do our breakdown of the Ole Miss matchup we have tomorrow at Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium there in Norman. And of course, as always, going to go through my SEC predictions of the weekend. We're going to break it all down right here on Wacko Sooners. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. And remember, go follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, game time highlights, and of course, a few memes and reels to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. Go hit those follows and make sure you're always in the Wacko loop. All right. Game day beat the Rebs. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Central kickoff there in Norman. This should be a good watch. This should be a fun game to go to. I actually last minute am able to get from where I'm living and get back up to Norman to go to that game. So looking forward to it. Can't wait for the weather. Oh man, I'm a sucker for this late fall, early winter stuff. And you know, Ole Miss, it rains in Mississippi a lot, sure, but they won't have the wind. They won't have the cold. They don't got it like we got it. We in Tornado Alley, baby. We got that crazy prairie weather. I think we're going to use it. We're going to use it. The storm's coming. And we're going to freaking use it, guys. So that being said, it's going to be a good game, I think. It's going to be a really good game. Oklahoma's a 4.5-point favorite right now per ESPN. And I honestly think the strengths and weaknesses of this matchup between the two teams are in the opposite places. So it'll be a solid matchup. Ole Miss's offense is really good. Oklahoma's defense is really good. Ole Miss's defense has a lot of holes. Oklahoma's offense has a lot of holes. So I think the matchups are going to be pretty even, honestly. And it'll definitely be a great show. Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss came in late when Austin Simmons had to go out with his injury. And in his time playing, Chambliss has thrown for 1,549 yards. 104 of 166, so that's about 62.7% completion, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then he's also got 70 carries for 323 yards, average of 4.6, and 5 touchdowns. And he's been sacked 5 times for 17 yards. Yeah. Trinidad Chambliss is good. This guy's crazy good. No one expected him to come out of Ferris State like he did and really take the world by storm. Because, I mean, he's the backup at Ole Miss. Of course, he's going to get better under Lane Kiffin, who arguably is one of the better quarterback guru, offensive-minded coaches in all college football. And then he gets his break with Austin Simmons going down. And Chambliss is not giving this back to Simmons. Chambliss is not giving this starter job back. No way. This guy's scary. He's scary for sure. And then you add the weapons that he has at his disposal. You've got Kawan Lacey at running back, 138 carries, 618 yards, so that's 4.5 on average. He's got 10 touchdowns on the season. Another great running back they have there, Logan Diggs, 18 carries, 138 yards, 7.7 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. And then these pass catchers, man. Ole Miss's offense is crazy good. You got Harrison Wallace, he's got 400 yards, 21 receptions, so about 19 per, 2 touchdowns. Tight end Daquan Wright, 19 receptions, 393 yards, average of 20.7 and 3 touchdowns. Deuce Alexander, that dude's scary too. That's about 383 yards, 17.4 per reception and a touchdown. And then Stribling too. He had that big breakout touchdown against Georgia last week. This Ole Miss offense is scary. There's a reason that Ole Miss is ranked so high because this offense is absolutely insane. And with Lane Kiffin at the helm, it makes absolute sense as to why they are ranked number 8 in the country. That's no secret. But here's the thing. Where Lane Kiffin is a monster on offense, Brent Venables is king on defense. Because as we've talked about all season, this Oklahoma defense is for real. They are the third highest ranked run defense in the country behind Texas Tech and James Madison, which objectively you put Texas Tech and James Madison up against Oklahoma's schedule, they're not going to be doing that well on defense, especially in run defense. Oklahoma's allowing 9.4 points per game. They're second there. Ohio State's at first. Brent's just crazy. He's built an incredible defensive unit, and we aren't going to sit here glazing the defense all day because we do that all the time. All right, we gotta take some time out on that every once in a while. But Brent just throws just such crazy looks. They do literally anything and everything. Growing up, remember, I was 14 years old when Baker Mayfield won the Heisman and grew up watching those explosive offenses of the 2010s. I didn't know what good defense looked like. Now that I do, having seen Brent Venables build one at Oklahoma, I will watch a Brent Venables defense all day, every day. I will watch it all the time. Those guys are crazy. They are so smart about how they play the game. They execute well for the most part. A couple slips here and there, as you're going to have in football. You're going to have slips. But as a consistent level of performance, a Brent Venables defense is so strong and is so consistent, and they all play like monsters. They're all out to get you. They're insane over on the defensive side of the ball at Oklahoma. Now, Ole Miss is ranked 41st in run offense. Why is that important? Because what this defense succeeds at is stopping the run. That's what this defense lives off of. You stop the run early, force them to throw it to the point where they may try to run it every once in a while, but they know it's not going to do anything, so their focus is just on pass, which Trinidad Chambliss and his pass catchers are good at. But this Oklahoma defense, this front seven will stop the run. This front seven, once they've stopped the run, will get after Chambliss in the pass game and put pressure on him and mask some of those deficiencies we have in the secondary, which we can talk about a little bit later. But the third best run defense in the country out of 134 versus the 41st run offense out of 134. Need I remind you what Oklahoma did to Michigan and that rushing attack with Justice Haynes? Michigan's run offense at this juncture in the season is ranked 22nd. And Oklahoma butchered them and gave up one big breakaway from Justice Haynes to open up the third quarter off of a missed assignment. And you expect me to believe that an Ole Miss offense that relies on being able to be explosive based on a good blend of run and pass, you expect me to believe that this Oklahoma defense is not going to be able to stop an Ole Miss run game and take away a lot of what Ole Miss likes to do by keeping you on your toes and wondering what they're going to do? Now, I honestly think this Oklahoma defense is going to play well. I think they're going to stop the run better than they stopped Michigan's, which was fantastic. And then they'll be able to get after Chambliss, and that will cause some issues in the back end, or I guess downfield for Chambliss, if we're talking from his perspective. It's going to cause some issues downfield, and he will get picked off once or twice. I think it's just going to happen because of how good this front seven is. And if Lenoris Sellers cannot run over Oklahoma's defense like the physical freak that he is, albeit for me, someone who never played, to say, I don't think Trinidad Chambliss will either. I think Ole Miss's offense will get some on Oklahoma. They will beat Oklahoma on a couple of occasions. But I think that Oklahoma's defense is going to dominate. And they may have to take a long drive and give OU's offense a break, because I think OU's offense is going to have to come in big here. As for availability for this game, concerns really around that. Gentry Williams on defense, and this is where we get to talking about the secondary. Gentry Williams, as I assume most of us know, went down with a shoulder injury against South Carolina last Saturday It was not the same shoulder that's been bothering him his entire tenure at OU. This is the other shoulder. He had it in a sling, was trying to move around well, but throughout practice this week, it's proven he's not available for this matchup, which, understandable. Get right, Gentry. We've got plenty of young guys that can do good work in there. You've got Devon Jordan, you've got Jaden Hardy, you've got Eli Bone, you've got Cortland Guillory. We've got guys back there that can play. They're not as experienced as Gentry, but Gentry will be there on the sidelines to help them out and help coach them up and help them get better, along with Jay Valai. Jay's going to be there grilling his boys. And I'm not super concerned about losing Gentry because of how good this front seven is. They will take a lot of the pressure off these younger and smaller guys in the case of Eli Bone. They will take off a lot of that pressure in the back end. And they will be able to hold on. Will they get beat a few times? Sure. That just happens sometimes. But these young guys are really smart. They know what they're doing. They execute well. They will be just fine. They will get beat. That happens. Occasionally, they will get beat. But I think overall they will do a pretty dang good job. As for the offense, some concerns we have there about availability. And then we can get more into what the issues with the offense might be this week. So Derek Simmons, he went down versus Texas, missed the rest of the game. He was back for South Carolina, played well, came out just fine, sustained an injury in practice this week on, I believe it was Tuesday, is when he sustained that injury. He is not available for Ole Miss. So right now, Oklahoma has at offensive tackle a total of 2 healthy players. True freshman Michael Fasusi, former 5-star, and Stanford transfer at right tackle Luke Biklenko. And if those guys go down, we are moving people from the 2 deep at other positions to fill in at left and right tackle. My guess is Ryan Foje, another true freshman, 4-star out of high school, is next up to take over left tackle or right tackle, depending on who goes out first, who goes down. Praying that no one goes down. Big prayer hands, okay? Hear me. But we will see how that goes. Let's just try to get out of this alive, because the bye week after Tennessee cannot come soon enough right now, because we have Ole Miss tomorrow. We have Tennessee at Tennessee next week. Then we have the bye week to close out at Alabama, Mizzou at home, LSU at home. We need healthier offensive linemen, 100%. I hate seeing how Brent and this entire staff has had to struggle with offensive line health issues in this is going on the 3rd year now. So, yeah, it's rough there. At this point, Brent and this entire staff needs to go spend on offensive linemen like they've been spending on defensive linemen. And I know that I spoke about this after Red River. You go spend crap tons of money on quarterback and the trenches. If you can get a 3-star wide receiver or running back for less money than you would a 4 or 5-star wide receiver or running back, and you're going to you think you can get the same production out of him and he's cheaper, you're going to take the cheaper skill position to get close to the same production. And you're going to spend all you can in the trenches where it matters and at signal caller. That is what this staff needs to do, because we've been doing a great job building the defensive trenches. Go do it on the offense. Go. And right now, with a lot of the guys we got coming in, Noah Best, right, Deacon Schmidt, and then coming in 2027, Cooper Hackett and Caden Penny, that's looking good. I mean, heck, you have Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje in as true freshmen this year. So you have a foundation going. You just need to build on it. And I think that we in the next couple of years, we will be getting somewhere with the offensive line, because these guys are insane. Fasusi and Foje are both incredibly talented. Noah Best and Deacon Schmidt coming in 2026. They're going to be fantastic, I think. And then Caden Penny and Cooper Hackett, both in state. The top 2 players in the state of Oklahoma for the 2027 class, those guys are going to be insane. Now, man, I get sidetracked talking about offensive issues, and I got to talking about offensive line recruiting. So much to do. Now, the rest of the offense, for this matchup tomorrow. The run game is all dependent on what happens with our two offensive tackles that we have left in Michael Fasusi and Luke Biklenko. The run game had life, I tell you, last week. You had Torrey Blaylock, 19 carries, 101 yards, and you had Xavier Robinson, 11 carries, 58 yards. That's awesome, dude. We haven't seen that kind of a performance all year. Arbuckle, DeMarco, and Biedenbow all got together and they said, all right, we're going to block for them, we're going to make the holes, and we're going to pick our two best guys, and we're going to have them run it. And we did it, and it worked. We need to do that same kind of thing. The question is, can the line do it again? One can hope. One can pray. And hopefully, the fans will do their job to support it and hype the guys up and be there and cheer for them like we should. Nobody better be leaving this game early. Because if you watched the Wacko Review 2 weeks ago after Red River, you will know that I have serious beef with OU fans that were at the Cotton Bowl for leaving early. I don't care if we're losing by 50. I don't care if we're losing by 100. You stay there and you fight for your team. So, everybody, I know the weather's going to be terrible, but you all better frickin' be there. You all better be fighting for those guys. I don't even live in Norman anymore, and I am still going to be standing out there in the rain, no jacket. All right, if you see me, great. I'm going to be there in my Danny Stutzman jersey, in a gray long sleeve underneath, and a baseball hat, and I'm going to be suffering through the rain. All right? Come find me. I'm going to be out there in the bad weather, and I'm going to be rooting every single moment. So, the fans better show up and help the offensive line do their job. Granted, we'd like to cheer more when we're on defense, so their offense can't talk, but still hype the boys up is the point. But if the offensive line can block for the run game, and the run game can get going, and Torrey and X can do their jobs, and they're given everything they need to do it, great. What I want to see is on that first drive of the game, I want to see something very similar to what we saw against South Carolina. A lot of run, sprinkle the pass in here and there a little bit. If you can get away with a big one, or not even get away with a big one. If you know that you can make a big one happen, go make it. Don't try to get away with one. If you can make it happen, make it happen. If you don't think you can, stick with stuff you know. But score on that first drive. Score 6 on that very first drive. Now, that being said, remember, Ole Miss's run defense has been terrible. Ranked 98 out of 134. They let Georgia go for north of 200-something yards against them last week. Now, this offensive line and these running backs, this whole rush attack combo is not anywhere near Georgia standards, but it still has the capacity to do something and present a balanced offense. As for John, I think we will see a return or breakout or re-breakout maybe performance from John. I think we've been playing very bland since his injury because we're going into the gauntlet of the schedule. Remember, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Those guys are no joke. So I think that calling the last couple of games bland, obviously calling Texas very bland, makes sense. John was still fresh out of surgery. He hadn't practiced in weeks. Against South Carolina, that also makes sense because you didn't need to go light the world on fire to go beat them. Ole Miss, you might have to go beat them. Tennessee, you might have to go beat them. Alabama, you might have to go beat them. Mizzou, you might have to go beat them. LSU, I'm not super scared. But their defense is solid, so you never know. You might have a low-scoring run throughout the first 3.5 quarters, and then finally in crunch time at the end, you got to go get in field goal range maybe. But I think that we've been playing it quiet since John got back from his injury in preparation for the gauntlet that is the last 5 games of the schedule. I think Ben Arbuckle is going to cook up some really creative stuff, maybe push some stuff downfield. And if you've watched Ben Arbuckle tape as a coordinator, or as Ben Arbuckle is coordinator, and you've watched Ben Arbuckle's coordinating tapes, you know when he's in 2nd and 5 or 2nd and short, that man is searching for down the field shots, or not necessarily even down the field, just something to get you a lot more yards, something creative, something to open you up, something to get something big, right? We've seen it all season so far. We saw it in the first 4 games of the year. I think we're going to see a return of that because John will have been about a month removed from surgery. He will have had 2 whole weeks to start practicing back since Red River. And it's a big game at home. It's a big SEC matchup. It's a top 15 matchup. An explosive offense coming to town. Great coach in Lane Kiffin. In order to beat Ole Miss, we will have to do some flashy stuff on offense, I think. We will have to go do something big here and there. And I think John's going to be up to the task. Now, I still think he will be healing in the way he throws the ball innately, like his sidearm along with how his hand is working still. I think there are going to be some inaccuracy issues still. Less than last week, much less than Texas. But he needs to play smart with the ball. Needs to not go out and try to be Superman. Needs to trust his boys to help him pull through. Stick with Satania if you have to. Because Ole Miss is, well, actually, no. Stick with Satania if they are giving him to you. But given how Satania has proven himself as wide receiver 1 in this offense this year, he's probably going to be getting a lot of attention. But again, that leaves it open for Deion Burks, Jaron Kanik, Giovanni Gibson, Zion Kearney, Keontez Lewis if we get to see him back after his running with the wall. Which, by the way, there's padding on those walls in the end zones now. There is padding on those things, so ideally we won't have another Keontez Lewis crash or crash of any kind. But these receivers, all of them are pretty solid. All of them are really solid. Someone's going to be able to make something happen because they're able to get open. John just misses them sometimes. I think his eyes are going to be in a better place as well. It should be a really good game, especially with Lane Kiffin being as creative as he is and really good at identifying your weaknesses and trying to pick them apart. The biggest matchup to watch in this game is simply that Oklahoma defensive front, the front 7, versus the Ole Miss offensive line in Trinidad Chambliss. That is the matchup to watch. In other words, will this Oklahoma front 7 give Kiffin and Chambliss enough time to pick apart the weakness in the secondary with young guys and smaller guys? Eli Bowen, Short Kings, stay strong. But if the D-line does what they're supposed to do, what they've been doing all year, if they're able to bring in the pressure, if they're able to keep it up, if they're able to get to Chambliss, and if they play exactly as they have all year, I'm confident that they will be just fine. And we will get into my prediction about that here in the next segment where we're going over our SEC Wacko picks, baby. We got some great matchups this weekend. All right. We've got Auburn at Arkansas. Arkansas, a 3.5-point favorite. Bobby Petrino has had 2 really close losses. Close loss to Tennessee at Tennessee. Close loss to A&M at home. I think Arkansas is going to pull this one out because, as we know my opinion of the Auburn offense. The Auburn offense is terrible. Jackson Arnold is terrible. The offensive line isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. Damari Alston dipped out almost 2 weeks ago. He just dipped out of nowhere. And Jeremiah Cobb is all there's left. And Auburn struggled on offense. They've struggled since Oklahoma broke Auburn, if I'm going to be honest. Because they win their first 3 games, Baylor, Ball State, and Southern Alabama. Then they go to Oklahoma. They lose. Whine about the officiating all you want. Officials didn't sack your quarterback 10 times like we told you we would. Then you lose to Texas A&M in a terrible offensive performance. Your defense did everything it could. Then you lose to Georgia because your quarterback can't hold on to the ball like we told you he couldn't. And then you lose to Mizzou in overtime because, again, your quarterback is bad. I think Auburn is going to get their 5th straight loss. I think Hugh Freeze is on his way out the door this year, honestly. I don't see a world where Auburn wins more than 6 games. At this point, I don't even think they'll be bowl eligible because they've lost all 4 SEC games that they've played. They're going to lose out, I think, on the rest of their schedule. I think they're going to lose to Arkansas. They're going to lose to Alabama. They're just cooked. They're going to lose to Vandy. And I forget who the last game on their schedule is. Let's double check that. while we're thinking about this. I didn't think that we'd be talking about Auburn this much. And Kentucky. At Jordan-Hare. They might beat Kentucky. And then they also have Mercer on the schedule as well. So there is a world where, actually, no. I don't think, because right now they're 3-4. I don't think Auburn is going to be bowl eligible this year. I think they will beat Kentucky, and I think they will beat Mercer. Auburn is not going to do better than 5-7 because Hugh Freeze has missed at the quarterback position 2 portal cycles in a row. And he needs to figure out what's going on there. But I think Bobby Petrino there in Arkansas, he's finally going to figure it out in his 3rd week as the interim head coach. His return to Holy Fayetteville and Woo Pig and the Razorbacks, I don't even know how to properly address y'all. I just know Woo Pig is a thing. But I have Arkansas winning this one, obviously. And I have them to cover the 3.5 spread. I have Arkansas 34-28. I do think Auburn's going to get some stuff going just because Arkansas's defense isn't great. But we'll see how that goes. All right, Tennessee at Kentucky. Tennessee's an 8.5-point favorite. Kentucky's cooked. Mark Stoops. I love the Stoops family, but Mark should be fired after that terrible 4th and goal call in overtime against Texas. Your defense was doing the job. Just go take the field goal. Like, you jump over the pile on 3rd down, and it doesn't work. Do you really think trying it again on 4th is going to get you the 6? No. Coaching malpractice. No. Josh Heupel and Joey Aguilar are solid. The Tennessee defense has some to be desired. But, again, it's Kentucky, so I'm not terribly worried. I think this will be the relative blowout that I expected Texas to hand out. 30-13 was that prediction. I do have Tennessee winning this, definitely covering the spread, 34-13. And I guess that being said, we can go over to Texas now. Texas at Mississippi State. They're in Starkville. Texas is a 6.5-point favorite. Arch and Sark are struggling. Sark is not being creative on offense at all. The offensive line, terrible. Trey Wisner getting the occasional break. Arch not being where he needs to be in headspace or his physical delivery in the game to go win. They got lucky against Kentucky. They got lucky, man. This Texas team is not very impressive at all. And like I said last week, with Mississippi State going to Florida, Mississippi State should have won that game. I don't know why Jeff Levy called a pass there or why Blake Shapen maybe audibled to a pass and then got picked off when you're in field goal range. I have no idea why you do that, whoever made that decision. Mississippi State should beat Florida. They really should have. And I was correct in that pick. As far as I'm concerned, they did. Just kidding. They didn't actually win. But they should have. And they made a boneheaded choice. I think that Jeff Levy's not going to do that this week. I think that he is going to come out swinging with that offense he's worked so hard on the last year and a half. And it has turned around. I have been right about Mississippi State so far as we've been doing Wacko previews, because early in the preseason I actually predicted them to be really, really bad, but they've turned out to be kind of decent and just losing at the last minute in one-score games. I think Mississippi State's going to win. I think they will cover the spread of 6.5. Again, this is assuming Mississippi State doesn't choke, but I have Mississippi State to win 24-16. Texas will not be able to withstand the cowbells and a Jeff Levy offense at home. Not at all. All right, Alabama at South Carolina. South Carolina's cooked. We talked about them already today. The offensive line is abysmal. The defense, I'm not sure if Dylan Stewart is back yet from the injury he sustained versus Oklahoma early in the game. We dodged a bullet there. But yeah, South Carolina's terrible. This Alabama offense controls the game. This Alabama team up there with Texas A&M, Texas A&M second in the SEC in my mind, in terms of team completeness. And we'll get into that as I'm talking about A&M at LSU here in a second. But Alabama as a unit on both sides of the ball controls games. They control it from start to finish. They're methodical. Before the battle starts, they know what they're going to do, and they know what they're going to make you do or keep you from doing, and they're not going to let you deviate from the script. And Alabama is just going to also out-physical South Carolina, I think. I have Alabama to win. They're definitely going to cover this 11.5-point spread. I have Alabama winning 31-10. All right, next up, we've got Texas A&M at LSU. Mike Elko and Marcel Reed are terrifying. Actually, no, scratch the Marcel Reed part. Marcel Reed's good. Mike Elko is terrifying. Because his team, every game, has been able to win in different ways. Notre Dame, it was a high-scoring shootout. Auburn, it was a defensive rock fight. Arkansas, another shootout. When one side of the ball struggles, the other side is able to pick it up and take care of it and go win the day, which is why A&M scares me. So, that being said, going to LSU, they've never beaten LSU in Death Valley since A&M joined the conference. LSU can't run the ball. Nussmeier's hurt. The defense will lose gas because this A&M defense is actually pretty solid, so the LSU offense isn't going to be playing long, and the LSU defense is going to get tired. I have A&M going in there and slaughtering the LSU Tigers. I don't think Death Valley will be able to save Brian Kelly. I have A&M winning 37-17. Yeah, this one's a hot take, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being out here like, yeah, I don't think Death Valley's going to do it all this time. All right, next to last, Missouri at Vanderbilt. College game day in Nashville at Vanderbilt. What's going on? This is not your papa's or your granddaddy's Vandy, okay? My granddad went to Oklahoma back in the 50s, all right? Vandy was ranked back in the 40s or 50 maybe. Like, when was the last? Yeah, we're going to look this up. When was the last time that Vanderbilt was ranked in the top 10? 1947, before my grandfather, who's 88 years old and went to the University of Oklahoma in the 1950s, all right? Last time Vandy was ranked was Barry Switzer, or prior to that, in that same vein, right? Let's double check that too. I should know this as an Oklahoma fan. But let's fact check this. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. Bud Wilkinson. I was thinking, I get them so mixed up because we've just got so many different B names. Okay, we got Bud, we got Bob Brent. We got so many different guys. Bud Wilkinson, pardon me. All right, Bud was at Oklahoma. Okay, yeah, Bud was at OU from 1947 to 1963. The last time Vanderbilt was ranked in the top 10 was when Bud Wilkinson was starting his career at Oklahoma as the head coach. That is almost 80 years ago. That's like 78 years ago now. College game day at Vandy? Let's go, man. Clark Lee and Diego Pavia and that whole crew, Eli Stowers, that whole crew, those guys are dogs. They play like dogs. They fight hard. Missouri's good, though. Right? Bo Pribula has turned out to be the real deal. Penn State got rid of the wrong quarterback. But they did have trouble against that Auburn front, that Auburn defense last week. And I think Vandy, while not as physically talented as Auburn's defense, I think they're talented enough, and they've got enough of that dog in them to come out and bite and make this a really fun game to watch, make this a really good one. I think Diego Pavia is going to come in and light his boys up and get them ready to go. And it's at home, and it's game day. They're breathing life into Vanderbilt football. Are you kidding me? And drink his drink. But we'll see. He's been doing good so far this year. pulled off a couple close ones, or a close one against Auburn. But I do have Vandy to win 38-34, just to barely cover or just go over the spread because it's 2.5 for Vandy. This should be a good one to watch. This should be a lot of fun. Now, finally, the one we've all been waiting for, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 4.5-point favorite per ESPN. We've already talked a lot in depth over kind of breaking down the matchup tomorrow. The Ole Miss rush attack will get shut down. The pass game will have a few breaks, but it will be under heavy pressure all day with this Oklahoma front seven. The defense of Oklahoma, the Dawg Pound, Davis Stone, Jaden Jackson, Dom Williams, Grayson Halton, R. Mason Thomas, Taylor Wine, Danny Okoye, PJ Adebaware, Marvin Jones. And then our linebackers, Heineke, Lewis, McKenzie, Kendall Daniels at Cheetah. Woo! Yeah, they're going to have a good day. They're going to have a good start. They're going to do a lot of work. They're going to dominate. They're going to dominate the game, I think. They're going to keep us in control. John Mateer will have his return performance be pre-injury John that we grew to know and love. Torrey Blaylock and X Robinson, they'll perform well, I think, against this poor run defense from Ole Miss. Again, 98th in the country. I have Oklahoma winning. To not cover the spread, however, I have Oklahoma winning 28-24. This is going to be a crazy one. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to get back into Memorial Stadium there in Norman. So excited. Can't wait to get back to probably would be my secondary house of worship in that stadium. But I will be at the game on Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff Central Time on Saturday, this fine October the 25th. I will, like I said, I will be standing in the rain, no jacket, gray long sleeve t-shirt, Danny Stutzman jersey, and a red OU hat. If you see me out there, come say hey if you feel like it. If not, stay where you are and cheer. But that is going to wrap it up for this Wacko Preview Sooner Nation, where we break down all things OU football going into the weekend of matchups ahead. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. Plus, go follow us over on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, game highlights, and, of course, a few memes and funny reels to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. Go hit those follows so you're always in the Wacko loop. Boomer! Sooner.